Hi everyone, hope you're having a lovely day. I'm Revelle, Managing Director and CEO of Pursuit Minerals, and this is a pre-production company focused on Argentina. I don't know, did I get that right? No, it's not going. It's a great cover. Got it. There we go. Fantastic. Those are our relative disclaimers. Just to give you a quick overview, we are Lithium in Argentina. We are a brine project, a very unique proposition, which I'll delve into why very shortly. However, a very significant opportunity for a significant re-rate with lithium coming into a deficit in the market. We've obviously had 2 years of oversupply of the commodity, come off those very significant prices in 2021, 2022. And just for context, having worked in lithium since 2008, those prices have never been achieved in the commodities history. People say, oh, $10,000 a tonne is really quite low. And I look at them and think, no, 4,500 a tonne was low in 2008, 2009. So lithium is a commodity in its infancy compared to iron ore, copper, more established commodities with more established markets. So volatility is expected. However, we're really quite fortunate in our position to be in the market with some significant factors. Limited opportunity, lithium demand set to triple by 2030, as we know. We sit on a high-grade, large-scale resource, which is very important. Over 1 million tonnes JORC, indicated and inferred, and a grade of 500 mg/Li, which I'll delve into a little bit more of. For us, we're not an explorer. We're accelerating our path to production, which is a key thing. Really, in this market with lithium, a couple of years ago, during the price highs, a lot of exploration hype. Now, when I talk to OEMs, when I talk to people in the market, if you have 500,000 tonnes LCE equivalent, that's fantastic, no one cares. They care, can you produce a tonne of lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide to feed into the EV chain? That is what the OEMs are looking at. So for us, we have a pathway to do that. We're not a DLE producer. It is proven technology, established technology. For example, one of the larger scale Australian companies that was Brisbane-based, if you were sitting at one of these conferences 10 years ago, was Orocobre. Orocobre went through the journey and brought on the Olaroz plant, which is recently part of the Acadium Lithium acquisition by Rio Tinto. That is a pathway which we're following. For us, also in terms of where we are, Argentina has significantly changed over the past 5 years. With the Milei government coming in, we're seeing government incentive like the RIGI, we're seeing a return from a deficit to surplus, re-entering the global markets, opening up of the oil and gas sector. So, and it's a tier 1 jurisdiction, over 10 billion of M&A activity from Rio Tinto and BHP in Argentina last year. It's a focused strategy. For us, this is a problem, there is a solution, there's an opportunity in execution. So really, what are we looking at? And that underpins Pursuit and our mission of what we're actually trying to do. So lithium global demand is significantly ahead of many commodities. Lithium actually outperformed every commodity last year in terms of its demand profile, nearly 20% demand in the market. The problem being was there was 22% response in supply. However, as we are aware in mining, most projects have an investment horizon of between 5 to 7 years. The lithium demand is set to triple by 2030, which is 5 years from now. The pragmatic approach is, let's say that number is hit by half. There is not enough investment in the commodity today at depressed prices to meet future demand, and that's a fact. We've seen that with the difficulty that lithium represents, whilst people call it mining. And yes, hard rock spodumene mining of pulling a lithium oxide ore out of the ground is a conventional crushing and processing circuit. Chemical engineering is more appropriate for what is lithium carbonate. We're evaporating a brine, which is a dynamic resource, through a chemical engineering plant to produce lithium carbonate. It is not easy. The brine profile of each of the salars is different, and therefore it is a bit more complicated. So for us, we have an opportunity to meet rising demand through a production focus, and that's what we're doing. Just a bit of a corporate overview on who we are, myself, and joined by some fantastic board members who I've been very fortunate to work with, very experienced in the sector, Mr. Peter Wall, our chairman, Tom Eadie, who some of you might know from his tenure as the chair of Syra Resources, a very well-known graphite play that went from 15 mil to $1 billion market cap, which he saw the development of, and our newer addition, Stephen Layton, who is on EQR, a tungsten producer that's having its moment in the sun. We've recently just done a consolidation to tighten our register, which was a very logical choice for us to move the company to its next stage. Only capped at about 7 mil, where we are at the moment, which presents significant upside potential. We do have a neighbour who's TSX listed with a similar size resource, no production element, who are currently capped at about 70 million Canadian on the TSX. So for us, a very clear demand mismatch. Just to give you a bit of an overview of lithium in the world where it comes from, 50% of it comes from this area, the Lithium Triangle. Very well-known spot between Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina. And of the area, majority of their recent investment is actually in the Argentinian section of the triangle. You do have SQM, Albemarle on the Atacama Flats, which have been a long-term producer. Bolivia have the world's largest resources, but due to the impurity profile, have never been able to produce an actual ton of carbonate. And with Argentina courting foreign investment, we've seen the Arcadium Lithium transaction. You've seen Eramet, a large French mining company, bring a project online, and even more M&A activity. In December 2024, Lithium Chile received a bid of US $180 million for 80% of its Arizaro project, which is about 50 kilometers north of our project of Rio Grande Sur. Argentina in itself is very much becoming a tier one address. And we're seeing that through incentives such as the RIGI, which is new legislation to encourage large-scale development. We're seeing that through government reform. Argentina, through its new president, Javier Milei, who is very eccentric, to say the least, has really opened up the country. He is the first president in several tenures to actually bring the country into fiscal surplus from fiscal deficit. He's making significant reform, opening up the oil and gas sector, and he's made no shortage of it through his friendship with Elon Musk on X and other platforms, that lithium is on his agenda, which benefits companies like us. But having said that, Argentina is not just about lithium. We're seeing the Philo mining transaction by BHP and Lundin Group in the copper space, Rio Tinto through its Newton venture actively investing in copper, and there presents a lot of other opportunity in gold, copper, and silver. If Argentina as a country has stable political regimes, the nationalization chance is quite low compared to countries in Africa who have a habit of ransoming executives when they don't conform to mining environmental policy. Such things don't happen in Argentina. Argentina has a strong relationship with the IMF. Such a standing in the global platform really makes Argentina a tier one address. And we're seeing that through the evidence of Rio Tinto, BHP, $10 billion of M&A activity. Glencore is present with the El Pachón copper project. Anglo-American, South32, all active in this area. Barrick Gold, Newmont, they're all there mining and deploying resources and capital. Focusing now on lithium. I always call lithium at the moment is like being in the best house in the worst street. The commodity's gone down a bit. However, having said that, lithium in Argentina is supply and demand. What you see on the screen is 17 salars in Argentina. There's no more, there's no less. There are unicorn discoveries like Tres Corbatas, which was discovered a few years ago. However, these salars are in the process of being consolidated. The Arcadium Lithium transaction consolidated Hombre Muerto. Livent and Allkem owned 50% of the salar, and it was consolidated. The biggest salar, Arizaro, was subject of government bids, and that now only has 4 or 5 owners on it, which are in the process of consolidating. Ganfeng, the Chinese company, owns 3 of these salars, indirectly or directly through investments. With that said, the opportunity for transactions to acquire Argentinian lithium brine are going. In 2 years, they will be gone. These salars will be fully staked by companies, and the opportunity for investors to actually get exposure to the most prolific region of expansion. And I say that with some comfort, knowing that Rio Tinto didn't buy Pilbara, they didn't buy IGO, they purchased Arcadium Lithium in Argentina. So getting that exposure is quite limited and very difficult. So for us, we very fortunately sit on the Rio Grande Salar, which is in the south. But there are 2 other operators on our salar, of which the chemistry profile is quite significant. It sits within that tier 1 assets, and the tier 1 asset bubble is what's important. These are the assets that can produce lithium carbonate being the principal ingredient in the LFP battery. The Rio Grande project, as mentioned, has a 1.1 million tonne resource. It's a 10,000 tonne position, of which I'll skip to the resource, which is the most significant part. So for us, we did 2 drill holes last year, which were able to get us this indicated and inferred resource. And we also have the opportunity for further resource expansion in the north if we choose to drill that at a later time. There's a summary of our 2 drill holes, which hit some phenomenal grades above 600 mgl Li, of which for us, the further expansion plan going to the north allows us to expand the resource, and directly 2 k's east of our project was hits from another company that hit 1,000 mgl Li, which was some of the highest grade hits in the triangle. So for comparison, Atacama is about 1,200 mgl Li, and that's the highest grade that we've seen in the lithium triangle. The TEM and geophysics surveys, obviously for us for resource, really show that that resource is open to depth and expandable, so for us, we can see parallels on the left with the tenements we drill, on the right with the tenements we drilled, and on the left with the tenements we are yet to drill, which we'll look at drilling once the prices start to rebound and we see resource appreciation increase with share price as we increase the resource. This is our 250 tonne pilot plant. It's operational, it is commissioned, it is about to start receiving its first feed of lithium brine to produce the first lithium carbonate. This sits in the city of Salta. The replacement cost is actually probably about double our market capitalization, which I find a bit ironic at times. However, the plant, we were able to source this from other companies within Argentina using our local connections, and being able to stand this up really sets us apart from a lot of our peers. That's our processing flow sheet, of which this plant we intend to have 250 tonnes of lithium carbonate production, which we then want to expand that production to a continuous basis, which is moving that up to site with evaporation ponds. So we have evaporation ponds, and we're currently working through delivering, the delivery of the first samples, which will come out before the end of this quarter, delivering those to potential offtake partners with the intention of building these ponds, having a continuous 250 tonne operation, which generates cash flow, and it also technically de-risks the project as we scale it to larger areas, 5 to 10 to 15,000. Even a 5,000 tonne project, that's still looking at 50 million of revenue and 25 mil of net profit or operating profit in the current price environment at the cyclical lows. So the margins only get better. Echoing the comments of the first introduction this morning, the money is in the processing to lithium carbonate, not in the hard rock conversion, selling to converter capacity. Our project sits within a very good area in terms of our comparison. We sit within several major well-known projects, but also further drilling, we can expand the resource, increase the grade, and that's something we'll look at doing as the market rebounds. Some of the near-term catalysts, what are we looking at doing? It's all about production. For us as Pursuit, we see the value in production, so where we'll generate the most value for our shareholders. So in that, over the next coming months, you'll see on our news flow production, first product out of the plant, talking about offtake, looking at relocating the ponds up to site and things like that. We also are having a look around at Argentina. Argentina presents considerable opportunity in copper, in gold, in silver. So any complementary assets that we can find that add value for shareholders that we'll likely look to pull the trigger on to complement the lithium as well. From that perspective, longer term, it's about scalability of the project, looking at accelerated path to production, and also looking at manageable, effective capex deployments, not shooting out the lights at a 20,000 tonne, but a more modular approach from 250 to 5,000 to 10,000, getting to that 15,000 tonne scale, but more efficient with capex and generating revenue and profit in the process. As mentioned, lithium demand, it's going one way, which is up, and it's forecasting to go up continually. And it was really good and positive to see Citibank saying that 2026 is where they will start to see the deficit in the market. We see that as a little bit longer. Personally, towards the end of 2025, we expect to see that deficit coming online. So the deficit numbers are there. However, for us, it's an area where we see that deficit coming faster than what's projected. So just to summarize, where we sit, pursuit, high-grade resource, path to production, stable Tier 1 jurisdiction, of which we have some very prevalent and prominent near-term catalysts that are production-focused, that set us apart from our peers, and really present the opportunity to re-rate in a Tier 1 jurisdiction such as Argentina, where there's other acquisition opportunities that can further create value for our shareholders. We're led by a group of top technical people that have significant in-country experience in Argentina that has worked in our favour, and we hope to continue to deliver value for shareholders as the lithium market moves from deficit to surplus over the coming years. Thank you.